My fiancé was keeping a popular young idol on the side. One day, he suddenly showed up in front of me, causing trouble. He claimed Victoria Bellweather had stopped a high-speed train for him, and had even canceled a $300 million deal just to take him to see the Northern Lights. He asked me, wasn't the unloved one the real third wheel? What did that make me, her fiancé? Just a pawn in a marriage alliance. I laughed. What was I? I was the one pulling the strings. Chapter 1. Victoria Bellweather and I had been engaged for a year, but recently I hadn't seen her in 3 months. Yet rumors constantly reached my ears. Even while waiting for the elevator, I could overhear employees gossiping about the latest news. Did you see the trending topics? Someone stopped a high-speed train, apparently. It was to find someone, and they ended up taking that top idol, Julian Thorne, away. I saw it this morning, but the topic vanished from the trending list a second later. Does Julian Thorne really have a girlfriend? He's a top-tier idol. How can he be dating? I checked the forums. It's highly likely. Rumor has it Julian has a sugar mama girlfriend. They supposedly had a fight, and in a fit of anger, the rich girlfriend stopped the high-speed train. Wow, even though idols aren't. T's supposed to date a super-rich girlfriend. Maybe that's acceptable. I took a deep breath to suppress the anger rising within me. Victoria was really crossing the line. We had known each other for 20 years. When she turned 18, we got engaged, formally celebrating it a year ago. I once believed our childhood connection meant we'd be different from the typical arranged marriages in our circle. Now it seemed I was too naive. A year ago, her entertainment company signed Julian Thorne. In less than a year, Victoria had transformed him from an unknown face into one of the industry's top idols. And Julian, to his credit, wasn't just a pretty face. He had the basic talent required for an idol. Still, he was more style than substance. After exiting the elevator, I got into my car, and the driver headed towards the gathering spot. Today, Ethan Miller had arranged a get-together to welcome me back. He's one of my closest childhood friends, practically a brother. My name is Sincere Clark. His is Ethan Miller. Friends often joke we're brothers from different mothers. He had insisted in the group chat that everyone had to be there, including Victoria. She had agreed in the chat. Although I was angry with Victoria, this needed to be discussed later. She had done something shameless, but I still had my dignity to maintain. Walking into the private room, I heard Ethan's younger sister, Chloe Miller, complaining indignantly. And to think I used to be a huge fan of Julian Thorne, turns out he's just a homewrecker. Remember when Julian was doing all those variety shows? Victoria flew everywhere with him, calling it supervising an employee. Yeah, right, I heard after Victoria stopped the train and dragged him back, he threw another tantrum and ran off to Las Vegas. Victoria postponed a week's worth of meetings and flew halfway across the world to pacify him. And she even waited in line for him at a fried chicken place for 3.5 hours. Unbelievable. The nerve. I frowned slightly, then composed myself, pushing the door open with a neutral expression. Chapter 2. Seeing it was me, Chloe immediately hushed, forcing an awkward smile as she hid behind her brother Ethan. Sincere, you're here, quick. Sit down. I'm a week younger than Ethan, so his sister calls him Big Bro and me second brother, or just Sincere. I nodded in greeting and sat down in the chair she pulled out for me. Today was just a small gathering of close friends. Besides the Miller siblings, I was surprised to see another woman present, Victoria's older half-sister Isabel Ashworth. They shared the same father, Arthur Bellweather. Years ago, Arthur had an arranged marriage with Isabel's mother, Catherine Ashworth. Later, he had an affair with Victoria's mother. When her mother became pregnant, she confronted Arthur's wife, leading to a divorce. Isabel went with her mother, Catherine. Isabel and I nodded at each other. Given our history, I suspected her presence here was no accident. We had just finished a game of pool when Victoria pushed the door open. It had been 3 months, but she looked the same, stunningly beautiful, the epitome of a powerful businesswoman. She seemed taken aback seeing me playing pool with her sister, perhaps surprised to see me, or maybe Isabel. She sat down next to me, and I habitually served her some food. We chatted casually, as if the woman Chloe described stopping a train for love wasn't her. I glanced at her, a sharp pain stabbing my heart. I told myself this was just a facade after all. I had received concrete information, but the raw facts were laid bare before me, and I couldn't just ignore them. So many years of shared history, growing up together, childhood sweethearts. To say I wasn't emotionally invested would be a lie, but I hadn't expected this. Just after dinner, there was a knock on the door. A moment later, a man dressed in a butler-style outfit walked in. He wore suit pants and a shirt, but also sported dog ears on his head and a dog tail attached to his backside. The shirt wasn't a standard dress shirt either, but a sheer white chiffon material paired with a leather harness. It was the standard lean muscle look popular in short videos, made more suggestive by the black mask he wore. Under the warm restaurant lighting, the curves beneath the fabric were faintly visible, drawing the eye. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Isabel, sitting opposite me, raise an eyebrow, nodding towards Victoria beside me. Victoria was staring intently at Julian. Ethan's mood instantly darkened. He slammed his wine glass onto the table with a sharp crack. His tone was utterly contemptuous. He knew exactly who Julian was here for. Well, who ordered the gigolo? Isn't he a bit early? Rather unprofessional. Ethan was hosting tonight to welcome me back. Julian showing up like this was a direct slap in his face. Whether defending my honor or his own, Ethan wasn't going to be polite to Julian. Julian looked flustered, clearly not expecting such harsh words. He forced a smile. Actually, I'm here for a little event. I wanted to randomly invite a lady present to participate. If she wins, I have a prize. At this, Chloe burst out laughing. Having once been a fan, how could she not recognize him? Besides, Julian's gaze was far too obvious. There's nothing more vicious than a fan-turned-critic. Hilarious. Why are the waiters here dressed so cheaply? Win your prize. What's the prize, you? The Miller siblings were merciless, mostly because Julian's attire was so outrageous. Anyone could see he wasn't a waiter here. Giving him an out was out of the question. It was too embarrassing. Having such a person disrupt a proper gathering, Ethan immediately pressed the service bell, calling the manager to have him removed. But just then Victoria gave him an opening. It's just a game, right? I'll play with you. With that, she grabbed her bag, not even sparing me a glance, and took Julian's hand, leading him out of the room. The room fell into an eerie silence, the only sound the soft bubbling of the simmering stew on the table. A large bubble rose from the bottom of the pot, scattering the fresh cilantro sprinkled over the dish, the green herbs contrasting vibrantly with the glistening broth, releasing a fragrant aroma. Everyone held their breath, carefully watching my expression. I slowly finished the soup in my bowl without saying a word. No one else dared to speak. I stood up, muttered, "I have something to attend to," and left the room. Chapter 3. Isabel followed me out. She saw me call Victoria, only to be sent straight to voicemail, followed by a text message. Urgent company matter. Before I could even manage a smirk, Isabel burst out laughing. Pfft. Playing with her boy toy is urgent business. I put my phone away, plastering on a fake smile. Isabel, isn't it rude to read other people's messages? She offered me a cigarette, and we sat down in the pavilion behind the restaurant. I had known the Bellweather sisters since childhood, though after Arthur's affair, I rarely saw Isabel after the age of 5. I never objected to the arranged marriage with the Bellweather family, specifically with Victoria. That's how our circle operates. Mutually beneficial alliances are natural. But for Victoria to suddenly find true love after the engagement was simply absurd. Isabel asked me what I planned to do. Was the wedding still on? I replied, "We'll see." Then, I immediately called Victoria's grandparents, Reginald Bellweather and his wife, adding fuel to the fire, hoping they could talk some sense into her. Right now, Victoria certainly wasn't receptive to my input. Later, I heard the incident infuriated her grandfather so much that even her father got chewed out, and a project under his control was transferred to the first Bellweather branch. After that, I heard nothing more about Victoria and Julian. My family, however, wasn't satisfied with this outcome. Cheating is cheating. Once tainted, always tainted. But the engagement party had already happened. Breaking it off required more than just this incident. Fortunately, just when I needed it, an opportunity presented itself. Someone else was dissatisfied with the situation and would inevitably seek me out. Chloe Miller's birthday was at the end of the month. As her second brother, her birthday party served a dual purpose, celebrating her birthday and networking for various families. The party was held at the Miller family estate. When her brother Ethan was organizing the guest list, he showed it to me. One performer was specially invited, Julian Thorne. Ethan had mentioned it, making the excuse that Chloe used to be a fan and now wanted to get back at him. I smiled and agreed. As a popular idol skilled in singing and dancing, Julian naturally had to be professional on stage. Many recognized him. After his performance, Julian was supposed to toast Chloe and offer birthday wishes. However, after toasting her, he turned to me. "I'm Julian Thorne." I looked him up and down, finding the situation incredibly amusing. Today was Chloe's birthday party. Strutting over to me like this showed immense disrespect to the Millers. Chloe was already planning to give him a hard time, seeking revenge for herself and defending me. Now he had walked right into the line of fire. Seeing none of us respond, Chloe slammed her glass down. "Are you insane? Didn't your manager teach you any manners before you came out? What kind of lowlife are you? Security, throw him out." Chloe's voice was loud. Her close friends knew about her fan-turned-critic stance, and several immediately chimed in. "You were just hired to perform to liven things up. Did you think you were here to find a sugar mama? Even if you're looking for a sponsor, you need some tact, right? Don't you know to approach respectfully? And now you're deliberately blocking our view of the next act. So pathetic." Security guards moved forward. Unexpectedly, Julian, who presumably maintained his physique, had some strength. After struggling briefly, he put on an act, collapsing to the ground. His glass fell, shattering and cutting his hand. Yet, a triumphant smirk played on his face. He raised an eyebrow at me. "Sincere Clark, you had security throw me out. Now I'm injured. Victoria won't let you get away with this." I had to admit, thanks to Victoria's financial backing, Julian, as a top idol, had a face worth looking at. But did all his talent points go into his face? Was there none left for brains? Chloe, having been completely ignored throughout this, was furious. She stood up, ready to kick Julian, but I quickly stopped her. While Chloe was trying to get her revenge and vent my anger, making an enemy of Victoria right now wasn't strategically sound for the Millers. It was obvious this guy was targeting me. I settled back onto the sofa, looking down at Julian sprawled on the floor. It took him a couple of seconds to react. He scrambled up, tilting his head back defiantly, like a peacock displaying its feathers indiscriminately. "Victoria doesn't love you. Why do you insist on standing between us?" "Expressionless," I retorted, and he seemed stunned that I only said one word, then flushed with anger. "So please leave Victoria alone because of you." Victoria, and even her father, got scolded by the old man. She was grounded, and her authority was diminished. "This is all your fault." I took a sip of wine, swirling the glass. Seems my one phone call carries that much weight. Then Victoria isn't that capable after all, is she? I paused, then added deliberately, "As for you, Mr. Homewrecker, are you here to defend Victoria?" My words silenced the surrounding crowd. They hadn't dared mention the affair in front of me, but now that I brought it up myself, they instantly rallied to my side. Is this another case of an entertainment industry homewrecker provoking the main partner? God, men and women in that circle both love this drama. They think we care about appearances, so they shamelessly try to force our hand. Don't they realize this could get them killed? Whose pet is this? So disobedient. Contemptuous gazes fell upon Julian. His face turned deathly pale, but he remained defiant. "You and Victoria have a business arrangement. Victoria and I are in love. I'm not a homewrecker. Victoria Bellweather and I are engaged, witnessed by both our families. You can find news of our engagement party online any time. And what are you? If not the homewrecker, are you number 4? Julian's face flushed crimson, his fists clenched. I turned my attention to the young starlet who had just walked onto the stage. I'm already a top-tier idol. I make over $100 million a year through my own talent. I have several luxury brand endorsements. You're just a wealthy heir who got lucky being born rich, but what good is that? Your sister already runs the company. You have no real power or prospects. In the Clark family, aren't you just a pawn for a marriage alliance? Looking at Julian, who clearly thought he'd won this round, I laughed out loud. Honestly, I was starting to seriously question Victoria's taste. Maybe she inherited her mother's tendency to be blinded by love. Achieving financial freedom under Victoria Bellweather's entertainment company? Yes, that's quite impressive. But what's the difference between you and that starlet on stage? Luxury endorsements? Aren't you just their mascot? A high-end salesman? You think you've achieved financial freedom, but you and I are different. I am the one who controls the wealth. Ignoring his increasingly ugly expression, I continued. You've simply been shown a glimpse of the top by Victoria and now want to stay here legitimately. Unfortunately, you picked the wrong person to confront. You shouldn't have come to me. Class is an insurmountable chasm. The only reason you can stand here talking to me is because of Victoria. If she weren't my fiancée, you wouldn't even have the right to speak to me, let alone meet me. It was rare for me to speak so condescendingly, but Julian provoking me repeatedly had worn my patience thin. I didn't believe Victoria was unaware of this. She was merely pretending ignorance, tacitly allowing it. Mr. Homewrecker, I heard you wanted Victoria's Gulfstream G700, but she refused you. Did she ever tell you that private jet was a gift from my family to our future daughter-in-law? Julian's face froze. I knew it. I pressed on. Oh, you didn't know that? Seems she doesn't tell you everything, or maybe she's just playing with you. Otherwise, why did that high-speed train story disappear from the headlines so quickly, as if she didn't want anyone to know? My words shattered Julian's self-assured confidence. He had assumed Victoria suppressed the news only to protect his career. He had come here so brazenly, and Victoria, clearly aware, hadn't stopped him. He genuinely believed Victoria cared for him, that she was willing to stand against the world with him. But I knew Victoria absolutely would not. Setting aside the internal struggles among the 3 Bellweather family branches, just within Victoria's own branch, the second, she had Isabel, her older half-sister born from the first marriage, hovering above her. Furthermore, Arthur Bellweather had an illegitimate son out there, and that was only what I knew about. Therefore, Victoria couldn't afford to lose my family's backing just yet, or all her hard work in suppressing the first branch would be wasted. After I finished speaking, the eyes of the surrounding socialites were fixed on me, as if I were suddenly a hot commodity. I stood up and left Chloe's birthday party. Everyone understood I was angry now. My fiancé's lover confronting me publicly like this, especially at someone else's birthday party. It wasn't just an offense against me, but against the Miller family as well. Chapter 5. Shortly after I returned home, the butler, Mr. Finch, informed me I had a visitor. I went downstairs to find Isabel Ashworth, Victoria's older sister. Seeing me descend, she remained seated on the sofa perfectly still, as if she owned the place. Without any show of impatience, I sat down opposite her, waiting for her to speak. My dear half-sister really is something else, she began, not even coming to you with an explanation. I remained silent, quietly reviewing the contract Isabel handed me. Just as I suspected, Isabel still harbored resentment towards the Bellweathers. At this point, in the context of this marriage alliance, Victoria was already out of the picture. As for the Bellweather family itself, honestly, I wasn't keen on continuing the partnership. The thought was somewhat nauseating. The initial reason my family arranged the marriage with Victoria was primarily suitability. There were only a few families suitable for an alliance. Victoria and I were childhood sweethearts, and at the time, we genuinely cared for each other. It seemed like a natural progression. Unfortunately, we didn't make it to the end. I had spent countless nights wondering if I wasn't good enough, if that was why she strayed and did such things. But ultimately, logic prevailed. If Victoria Bellweather showed no loyalty, then I, Sincere Clark, owed her none. At least these things came to light before the wedding, preventing our family's assets from becoming entangled. That would have been truly disgusting. Something I'd have had to swallow no matter how vile. I agreed to Isabel's proposal. The next day, news that the Clark and Bellweather families were calling off the engagement spread like wildfire online. My parents, David and Mary Clark, were incredibly efficient, and my sister Blair and I were no slouches either. They issued an official statement canceling the marriage, maintaining a veneer of harmony, while stating we remained business partners. Meanwhile, Blair and I secretly fed information to gossip bloggers and paparazzi. Mixing 3 parts truth with 7 parts fabrication, the gossip hounds eager for such stories swarmed. Combined with the power of netizens, the truth was quickly unearthed. Wild speculations spiraled out of control. Finally, with the help of resourceful netizens, the story of Victoria stopping the high-speed train, which she had paid heavily to suppress, climbed back to the top trending spot, exploding in popularity. Netizens who followed high society gossip couldn't sit still. Stopping a high-speed train. How much unnecessary work did that create for countless ordinary workers? And all just as a backdrop for Victoria and Julian's affair. Suddenly, everyone affected by the train stoppage became unwilling participants in their love drama. When a major paparazzo revealed Julian's name, everything clicked into place. Those previously shadowy photos and videos instantly became ironclad proof. Julian's former girlfriend fans massively turned against him. This kind of scandal and idol falling from grace was the most unacceptable type in the entertainment industry. It's an unwritten rule. Idols cannot date now. Julian had not only broken the rule, but had also been labeled a homewrecker. This was a stain on his former fans. Yet some loyal fans remained, desperately defending him. One of Julian's wealthy fans even bought him a new trending topic: Bellweather heiress stops high-speed train for my idol. True love is blameless. Julian deserves it. The more they dug, the worse it got. It was unclear if this was genuine damage control or deliberate sabotage. Regardless, this trending topic reignited several previously suppressed issues. The internet was flooded with negative press about Julian. At the same time, scandals concerning the Bellweather Corporation and Victoria herself were dredged up. Massive Bellweather family scandal. Victoria Bellweather's mother rose to prominence as the other woman, forced out original wife. Illegitimate son in Bellweather Corporation. Bellweather Corporation tax evasion. Chapter 6. A week passed like this. They say success makes people glow, and it's true. I had blocked all of Victoria's contact methods these past few days, but today, they finally managed to corner me. To my surprise, the visitors included not only Victoria, but also her mother, Eleanor, and Julian. Eleanor Bellweather started as a young model, later dabbled in acting and variety shows. This contributed to Victoria's good looks. Unfortunately, while Arthur Bellweather might have been easily swayed by love, he was primarily driven by looks. Years ago, against everyone's advice, he divorced his first wife, Isabel's mother, Catherine Ashworth, the heiress of the prominent Ashworth family. Not long after, he cheated again. This time, Eleanor put her foot down, preventing Arthur from bringing the illegitimate child home, never imagining her supposed true love would only last a few years. Having caused a sensation as the other woman, she couldn't accept being cheated on herself. From then on, she focused all her energy on grooming Victoria for success, relentless, pushy parenting. Sincere, dear, long time no see. You look wonderful. Seems life is treating you well. Eleanor's words dripped with sarcasm. Julian, ever the low EQ type, chimed in. Yes, you look great, Sincere. Crash. Before he could finish, my sister Blair from the second-floor landing hurled her coffee cup straight at him. With a loud bang, the cup and its remaining coffee exploded near the trio. What is this trash doing in the Clark house? The entire living room fell silent. My sister stood on the landing, looking down like a queen surveying her domain. I subtly shifted my position. Thankfully, my sister has good aim. Even when grumpy from just waking up, she wouldn't accidentally hit her own brother. Thank goodness the cup wasn't large, and there wasn't much coffee left. The scene was incredibly awkward. Julian and Eleanor jumped up, too stunned to speak. Victoria, however, had weathered storms before. She took a deep breath to compose herself. My sister walked down the stairs, hands stuffed in her pockets, her tone casual. "Sorry, just woke up, still groggy. Next time, I'll aim better." Eleanor flushed red and white, stung by Blair's retort. Victoria stood up, paused, then addressed my sister. "Blair, I came today to apologize. This was indeed my fault. We grew up together. Could I possibly see Uncle David and Aunt Mary? I want to apologize to them in person." Blair scoffed, glanced at me. I quickly vacated the armchair for her and moved aside. "Don't call me Blair like that. My parents only have 2 children, my brother and me. Where did I suddenly gain another sister? As for apologizing, this doesn't look much like an apology tour to me. They were all seasoned players." Victoria directly stated her terms, offering concessions, but Blair remained unmoved. Victoria upped the ante again. Only then did Blair deign to look interested. I made a soft tisk sound. Julian immediately lost his composure. "Sincere Clark, don't push it. We've already made such huge concessions. What more do you want?" I smiled, a smirk playing on my lips. "Mr. Bellweather Sr. was just talking to my parents last night for quite a while. Mentioned that Isabel Ashworth is also part of your Bellweather family." Before I could finish, Victoria erupted. "Sincere Clark, I forbid it." I raised an eyebrow. "What position are you in to interfere in my marriage decisions?" Ultimately, Victoria made further painful concessions, forcing Julian to apologize to me. As they left, Julian's eyes were red, like a little girl's. Truly fitting for a male idol, grow his hair out, and he could probably compete with the female idols for roles. Chapter 7. Victoria reached an agreement with my sister, but not with me. While Blair might not actively torment them on the surface, my sister is my sister and I am me. I never said this was over. Blair looked over the pile of spoils, the concessions Victoria made, and looked up at me. "Lil' bro, I'm temporarily stepping back. What about your end?" I nodded. "It's time for Isabel Ashworth and that other illegitimate son, Quentin Shaw, to make their move." Yes, the Bellweather family had another illegitimate son, Quentin Shaw. Don't let the refined-sounding name fool you. He was a dark, brooding character. Arthur Bellweather never acknowledged his mother, Eliza Shaw, nor did he care much for his son. Quentin hadn't had an easy life, especially since Eleanor Bellweather had once tried to have both him and his mother killed. Later, Quentin's mother, Eliza, worn down by hardship and resentment while raising him, developed cancer from years of stress and overwork, and eventually passed away. The grudge ran deep. Now, Victoria had to return and face off against both Isabel and Quentin. Oh right, I heard the first and third Bellweather branches had also joined the fray. The internal conflict was raging fiercely. However, Julian Thorne became infamous throughout the industry. Outsiders believed Victoria had dumped me for Julian, defying the world for him, and I became a laughingstock behind the scenes. The Bellweather family refused to comment while Julian continued to gloat, flaunting his relationship within his own circle. But how stable was his circle? Weren't people in entertainment just as prone to kissing up and kicking down? Did he really think there were no paparazzi among his friends, or people willing to sell out his private posts? The things he posted in his private social media circles were quickly obtained by paparazzi, leading to another round of public feasting on the gossip. Victoria was still the public face of the Bellweather family, but with such major negative press, even the family couldn't protect her. Soon, under the combined assault from Isabel and the newly acknowledged Quentin Shaw, Victoria was forced to step down. And at that moment, I brought my own company, Obsidian Tech, into play, fully backing Isabel. Obsidian Tech was my overseas venture, not yet introduced to the domestic market. Even based overseas, it was considered a top-tier company. This was my hidden ace. After all, having both children in a prominent family be overly successful tends to attract unwanted attention. Forget whether people in this circle have shame, some are genuinely dangerous. So I had always played the part of the spoiled, aimless, wealthy heir. When the news broke, even our inner circle was stunned, especially since old Mr. Bellweather himself had recently let slip that the family had another daughter, Isabel Ashworth, using her former name. My move prompted widespread speculation. Were the Clark and Bellweather families going to form an alliance after all, just with a different daughter? After I broke off the engagement with Victoria, many who wanted to curry favor with my family had snubbed the Bellweathers. If our families reconciled, they would be in an awkward position. Lately, the phone at home hadn't stopped ringing. My parents cleverly disappeared, leaving Blair and me to handle it. Blair, the sly fox, immediately took a business trip abroad. As fate would have it, she ran straight into Victoria at the airport overseas. Victoria confronted Blair, demanding to know why she went back on her word and why Obsidian Tech was under my name. Blair feigned ignorance, expertly deflecting. She stated Obsidian Tech had always been mine. As for supporting Isabel, my brother likes her. Why should I interfere? My move threw the Bellweather family into further chaos. Clark Corporation didn't directly attack Bellweather Corp. Instead, it paved the way for my Obsidian Tech in the domestic market. But this very subtlety made countless other companies eager to grab a piece of the pie. They reasoned my family must know what I was doing. Knowing, yet not acting, what did that imply? Tacit approval. Indulgence. Permission to go big with the Clark Corporation as my safety net. Nobody truly wanted the Bellweather battle to end quickly. They hoped to weaken the company, ideally with the main players destroying each other. After a month of turmoil, the Bellweather family split into two factions, the first and third branches allied together, while Isabel and the illegitimate son Quentin surprisingly teamed up. The two forces reached a strange equilibrium. Then, suddenly, Isabel and Quentin's side began losing ground rapidly, seemingly about to be disqualified. The first and third branches couldn't sit still any longer. Faced with enormous potential gains, their alliance proved meaningless. Ultimately, the first branch emerged victorious again. Once in power, they immediately began purging remnants of the opposing factions. Throughout the company, the policy was ruthless. Better to mistakenly eliminate 1,000 than let one enemy slip through. This aggressive tactic was something Isabel and Quentin had initiated when they briefly gained ground, deliberately showing the others how it was done. But taking the long view, although the purge was brutal, those who remained were loyalists. Resentment simmered throughout the company. The first branch, seemingly venting years of repressed anger from being overshadowed by Victoria, acted recklessly. Meanwhile, Isabel and Quentin simply rented an office next door and hired back everyone purged by the Bellweathers, including many veteran employees. The time was ripe. Someone preemptively leaked years of dirt on the first and third branches. The revealed content was explosive, sparking public outrage. Scathing online comments followed, truly birds of a feather. First, the second branch stops a high-speed train for love. Then the first branch drives an SUV into the National Museum. And the third branch claims a restricted hall in the Capitol building isn't as grand as their own. Subsequently, the leaders of the first and third branches were taken away for investigation. All that remained were Isabel, Quentin, and Victoria. As the granddaughter old Reginald Bellweather had cherished for years, Victoria was pushed to the forefront once again. Reginald knew Isabel had long since been welcomed back by the Ashworth family. Her fight was purely to spite them. As for Quentin, returning so late with a tainted background made him unsuitable. After careful consideration, only Victoria seemed appropriate. Then I countered by releasing evidence of Eleanor Bellweather's persecution of Quentin's mother. The Miller siblings also packaged and released a video of Julian confronting me at the party, adding more fuel to the chaotic fire. My sister stretched languidly, asking impatiently, "Little bro, can we speed this up? Let me inject some capital into Obsidian, you leverage it further, or I'll just have Clark Corp step in directly. Let's wrap this up." I shook my head, indicating no rush. Blair got agitated. "I understand you're the injured party. You want them to feel the slow burn, the death by 1,000 cuts. You're enjoying it, but I'm really impatient, eager to make money," I smiled, silently accelerating the endgame. My sister's bloodline suppression, her innate authority over me, was still effective. Perhaps if Victoria had just been honest with me from the start, none of this would have happened. Wanting the benefits of the alliance, wanting a romance with me, and then playing the true love card with someone else, it truly disgusted me to my core. Ultimately, the Bellweather Corporation crumbled. Everyone knew it now belonged to Isabel Ashworth and Quentin Shaw. Just as people expected a new round of competition between them, they unexpectedly offered the largest piece of the pie, the core assets, to me. The day I formally accepted the Bellweather lifeline they handed over, I sat in the small rooftop garden of the Clark Corporation building, gazing at the stars. Memories flooded back like a tide, but the face of the person in them grew increasingly blurry. My assistant, Thomas, informed me that Victoria Bellweather was begging to see me. I agreed. Seeing her again, she had changed. Just over a year ago, she was a stunning, glamorous, commanding CEO. Now her cheeks were hollowed, dark circles under her eyes too prominent to conceal. Her once lustrous hair was dull with faint strands of white. Though not yet 30, fine lines already webbed the corners of her eyes. The toll of the past year's struggles was evident. Honestly, I had actively avoided her this past year. I was afraid that seeing her again, I wouldn't be able to control my fury, that I'd make her and her family disappear far too quickly. I didn't want to end up on the wrong side of the law, but I didn't want to let her off easily either. Why should I be the stepping stone, footing the bill for her and Julian's love story? So I hid, not out of fear, but to slowly personally witness it all. Watch her rise high, watch her entertain guests, watch the building collapse, a pile of ruins. Nothing left. She had to suffer more than I did. That was only right. I hadn't expected her to come begging for mercy, even offering herself to me. Perhaps over the past year, her pride had been utterly stripped away. After all, the story of her mother rising to prominence as the pregnant other woman had long been exposed by Isabel. And she, once the high and mighty, sought-after Bellweather CEO, had plummeted to become the type of person our circle most despised, associated with scandal and illegitimacy. The fall was immense. Before she arrived, I had imagined myself telling her smugly, "See, this is the fate of those who betray true feelings." But now, facing her, it just felt unnecessary, pointless. "This is the last time we meet, Victoria Bellweather. From now on, there would only be a vast chasm between us." My phone rang. I answered it. It was Isabel's voice on the other end. No, wait, I should call her Isabel Ashworth now. She had reverted to her mother's surname. "Sincere Clark, you've used me for so long. Don't you think you owe me some proper compensation? You can't put it like that. You did this willingly." "So I was willing. But are you willing?" I paused for a moment. Just as Isabel sighed, thinking I wouldn't answer, I said, "I'm willing to talk."